You look gorgeous, baby. Kill it.
Thank you. Okay. Pump up the jam. Okay.
Pump up that floor. Pump it up.
After 7 long years, the shirt's terrible, I have officially gotten a pap smear successfully. Cue the applause.
Vagina, vagina, vagina.
So I got my very first and official pap smear. And hold on, my doctor gave me this cute little pelvic floor sticker. Let her focus in. We're just getting a pap smear, having such a good experience with my new doctor. It was just a very victorious day, and I don't even think my doctor could fathom how excited I was to find. Well, she's an OBGYN, so I'm sure she knows about vaginismus. I'm sure she can imagine how big of a day and how exciting that was for me. I almost started crying, and like she was so happy for me in that moment. But let's get into me getting my pap smear successfully and what happened. It's so interesting because my journey to vaginismus began with attempting to get a pap smear and not being able to, and now it feels 7 long years later my journey is officially coming to this kind of symbiotic, is that the right word? Symbolic close with being able to get a pap smear. Before getting this successful pap smear, I tried at least 4 or 5 times to get a pap smear, and it just did not work. The speculum thingy did not go in, and it just kind of felt like a lost cause. So after some time, I kind of avoided going for my checkup or trying to get a pap smear because I was just in a position where I'm like, things not going in, and I'm unable to actually get test results. So I'm paying, you know, hundreds of dollars to get a procedure done that I can't actually get done. And so it just felt like a waste of money at some point. There's so many benefits to getting a pap smear. The biggest benefit, especially for me, was the pap smear was the thing that allowed me to know and determined officially that I had vaginismus. So if you were like me and you're in a space where you've been Googling all of your symptoms and you don't know, is this what I have? Is it this? Is it that? The pap smear will begin your journey. The pap smear will begin your journey officially. Beyond that, pap smears, you know, are essential for checking your cervical health. When you get a pap smear, you're kind of checking for cancerous cells that could be in your cervix. A little bit about me is I'm from a little town called Pearland, Texas, and I now live in the big Chicago, Illinois. So when it comes to doctor's appointments and things like that, most of my appointments actually happen back in my hometown in Texas. Being in Chicago is a lot to deal with, especially when it comes to customer service. There are cool things about living in a big city for sure, but the day-to-day is very overstimulating. And the energy, just the people, it's a very cold and kind of blasé and dissociative, which is fine. I'm the same way because living here has trained me to kind of be like, let me just go on about my day and, you know, interact with as few people as possible. And those interactions are typically quick, cold, to the point. People have things to do. People have lives to resume. So especially when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to pharmacies, everything just kind of has the most terrible service you could ever fucking imagine. The customer service in this city makes me sick to my stomach how bad it is. When it comes to health, you don't want to be in a space where it kind of feels like nobody cares about you, no one gives a shit. You are inconveniencing their day by existing and being sick, essentially. There was a time where I literally went to a Chick-fil-A once, and you can't even make this shit up. I go and I'm trying to order. None of the workers address you, and then I got up to the register, she goes, what? 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 Are you kidding me? Like, you're not getting my pleasure here. That will never fucking happen. You will never get my pleasure living in these major ass cities. That girl said, what? Child, anyways, so I say that all to say that when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to customer service, I'm typically avoiding it altogether. So once a year, probably for like a week, I go home, I'm getting my eye exam, I'm getting my, you know, dental stuff, I'm getting my dental cleaning, I'm getting my eye exam, I'm attempting to get a pap smear, I'm getting my, you know, checkups and everything. I do it back at home in Texas because I really don't even want to be in a space, especially when it's something as sensitive as vaginismus to me, where I'm going to get my pelvic floor examined and the fucking lady's just like, do you want to get the speculum in or not? Can you wrap it up already? I just don't want to deal with that energy. Texas has its reputation for sure. Any red state has its reputation for sure. But when it comes to this idea of just that small town southern hospitality charm, I mean, it's real. It's nice to just go, you know, order a smoothie and do something and the person is just not fucking awful to you. Now, mind you, when you live in these big cities, the people are more outwardly terrible but inwardly really nice, where I find in those kind of southern small town states, everyone's kind of outwardly like, how are you, bless your heart, inwardly clan robes. So it's a very different energy, but to me personally, on the day-to-day, I don't want to go to a Chick-fil-A and feel like I'm inconveniencing the person to be there. I don't want to go to an urgent care and feel like this person would be more convenienced if I was dead and not here sick. You just don't want to deal with it. So already off jump, when I went into this doctor's office, the energy was just really nice. And this is a new doctor for me. The nurse was so sweet. The front desk people were so sweet. So already off jump, I'm just at ease. I don't know how you guys are, but for me, if I'm going somewhere to eat, for example, and the customer service is bad, I'm not hungry anymore. I want to go. If I'm asking or buying or purchasing a service and the customer service is bad, I no longer need to have this thing. That's just how I am. And it kind of translates when it comes to medical needs. When I'm trying to get a pap smear for this third or fourth time, I walk in there, you have an attitude, I'm now uncomfortable and don't need to be here. So it may be a factor, it may not be, but just off jump, I was already so comfortable. I felt kindness from the administrative staff. The nurse was so sweet, and then when my new doctor at that came, so sweet and welcoming. And it's just things that are that simple. The whole thing with vaginismus is if you are not comfortable, the cooter doesn't open. Being comfortable is such a big thing. Oh my God, I can't express it enough. So before my doctor came in, the nurse who was kind of, assessing my situation, it was so funny. She was asking me so many different questions. She was like, so what's your sexual history? What's your boyfriend's sexual history? Are you being abused at home? Do you have sexual trauma? Like, have you ever been with somebody of a different sex? Or like, so me potentially being a lesbian or not has to do with whether you can examine my vagina. Cool. So it was just a lot of questions where I was just like, I feel like you want to know this for your own personal interest, not because it's on the little paper that you have, because this is a lot of questions. It was a lot. The other funny thing is she was just like, asked me about my sexual history and like all this stuff, and I was like, oh, so I have vaginismus. Mama, she didn't know what that was. The way that she immediately went to the Google and it was like, so how do you spell it? Pronounce it for me. Can you use it in a sentence? And I thought that was like really funny because it reminded me of when I got my first pap smear and I was diagnosed. There was an intern working that day, and so my OBGYN was literally kind of like, oh, so I think you have vaginismus, and then grabs the intern and is just like, so you remember those pelvic floor conditions that you most likely had to learn in school? This girl has it, come look at her. This is what the vagina does when it doesn't want something in it. You notice how the fucking skin clamps together and rejects, and I felt like I was being studied. It's like an episode of Grey's Anatomy where it's just like a person who comes in and they have this heart condition once every 1,000,000 years, and the interns are just like, this is the best day of my life. This person dying of this rare heart condition. Oh my God, medical mysteries. Like, it makes them so happy, and I'm sitting here like, so what's kind of going on with, is my vagina broken? Am I sick? Will this kill me? And they're just kind of like, see, look. So then after kind of asking and dealing with the sexual interrogation of the century, my doctor finally came in and introduced herself and just immediately was kind of, this is your kind of control room. If anything is intense, if anything is hurtful, you just let me know. And so I immediately was just like, oh my God, so I feel, comfortable, and I feel like if I say, hey, this thing is hurting me, she's gonna listen to me. She was kind of like, oh, I've been an OBGYN for about 6 years and obviously went to school and all these things. You're only the second person that I've ever come across with vaginismus. And I'm like, great. Literally having vaginismus, you're like an OBGYN's unicorn. If you are a vaginismus girl who's kind of wondering what a pap smear feels like, it feels like taking like a plastic tube and like it feels weird. It feels so fucking weird, and the tube was like cold and you can feel the plastic, and then they go in with like a toothpick and like scrape around the edges, so it feels like a weird cold plastic tube. I guess that's obvious, but it feels strange. And it's so interesting because most women, vaginismus or otherwise, hate getting pap smears because it's so uncomfortable, and it is uncomfortable. I learned that the breathing is everything. As I, start to relax, it somehow started to go in, and I didn't want to get too excited because I'm like, no, I don't want to get stressed out again, and I don't want my body to read my excitement as stress and then like close up again. So I was just like, deep breaths, I can do this. And I was literally squeezing my hands, I was counting in my head, and I was trying to bear through it, and maybe after 30 seconds, It was over. It was over. That's all it was. 30 seconds to a minute of just deep, intense, let me breathe, let me count, and let me relax. And then it was over. If you stay on top of something, it could save your life. If you get your mammograms, you know, once you reach that age when you're supposed to get it, you could save yourself from fucking breast cancer. When you're getting these, you know, well, women's exams, you're screening for precancerous cells, and so the more that you're kind of consistent with checking in on your health, I mean, it could be like life-changing practices that you're implementing. So some advice I would give to someone with vaginismus: find someone supportive that you feel comfortable with. I kind of feel like that's obvious, but I cannot stress that enough. There are so many times with my failed pap smear attempts, my failed pap smear attempts, where it was kind of like, I am struggling more than I need to because I'm more uncomfortable than I could be. So it's one of those things where there are people in customer service, in healthcare, in all of these spaces where I understand that you see sick people on a daily basis. I understand that you deal with customers on a daily basis, 100%. But to make someone else's life harder than it can be when you could choose to just not do that, you know, it's easier said than done for sure. But it's just one of those things where it's like, find somebody who isn't fucking annoyed by the fact that you have a fucking pelvic floor disorder. I'm sorry. Imagine what I go through on a daily basis dealing with this. I'm so sorry that I'm inconveniencing you. You know what I mean? So find somebody who doesn't suck. Find someone where you feel comfortable with, where it's like, hey, this hurts, please stop, and they stop. Imagine a world. Find someone who cares about you and wants to see you succeed, wants to see you improve, and wants to see you get better. This also applies when it comes to your physical therapist. I've had 2 physical therapists. One was a nightmare and one was a saint. So yeah, and it was times where I would be doing dilator work with the one who was a nightmare, and it's like, stop shoving this. I'm not ready. I'm not comfortable. And like, my body's not there yet. But there was also times, even environmentally, going to some pelvic floor places in Chicago, of course, where it's like, I'm trying to, you know, be comfortable and do these pelvic floor dilator works, and the lady who's checking me in is, you know, a see you next Tuesday. So it's like, the vibe is ruined, and I'm trying to make progress here. So just even little things like that, where especially a physical therapist with your dilators more so than an OBGYN, if you can find 2 great ones, that obviously that's ideal. But when it comes to a physical, this person is like fingering you. This person is doing, you know, exams with their hands, and they're putting dilators and shoving things into you, and it's a slow and it's a gradual process. So to have somebody rushing that, no, you. There are other factors like insurance. Like, the reason I had to deal with, you know, a pelvic floor specialist who was from the pits of hell is because we were on the broker side. This is what our insurance covers. We don't have the premium diamond plan, so I just have to deal with whoever's here. And now having a better insurance plan and all these things and getting, you know, being in a different financial kind of energy, it's a lot different. I promise you, you will not be making any progress if you have health providers that you do not feel comfortable with. Find YouTube, find other ways to receive this information than being subjected to their bad energy and their bad attitudes. But I know that that's easier said than done, and I never want to, you know, lose perspective on that, because I know how hard it is to find healthcare providers that aren't just terrible. Things happen when and how they should, and how I know that's so annoying, and I hate that I'm contributing to that kind of shit. And then after, you know, get your pap smear, my best friend brought me food, and it was just a really cute kind of moment, getting cute little gifts, and it's a woman's body, and you can like put little things in it. That's so silly. I absolutely am in love with this. Titties. Having restrictions of any kind just isn't the best. But I guess that's obvious. That's like saying, hey, life is harder when you have an ailment, or, you know, life is harder when you are discriminated towards. Hey, hot take. Life is so much harder when you're a woman. It's kind of like, duh. But it's also so much more interesting and so much more fun and so much more unique and so much more cat, boom. That's how I like to look at it. Wouldn't change a thing. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited that my pap smear happened, and I'm just kind of like walking on sunshine. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode of the Vaginismus vlog. For us girlies with vexed vaginas with stage fright.
Vagina.